And I've been in this motherfucker since 2003, right? Because that's when I got signed to Aftermath, 2003. If you ask anybody, anybody that really know me that's in this motherfucking industry, and go ask Dr. Dre, man. Like, sit Dr. Dre down and really ask that about who I am and my character and, like what he really feel about me at the end of the day as a man.
Too much 50 Cent, not enough West Coast rap. JC. I said JC. You old. You old. I will.
When have you ever heard an Eminem song in the club? I don't hear Eminem in the streets. I'm just a better rapper.
I can't get no loving in public.
No affection.
No holding
Because it
hands,
seems
no
like you
kiss,
always
no...
gotta.
You are giving me $10 million.
Let's go. Who's gonna give you $10 million?
Jayceon mother Taylor.
Also
is
known
giving
as
me The Game.
Let's go.
It's giving me $10 million.
It all started as a flashy TV play, with VH1 putting The Game at the center of a dating show where women competed for his love like he was the hottest prize. Back in 2015, he was riding that reality TV wave hard, trying to turn his street image into a slick Bachelor brand. She's Got Game felt like The Bachelor mixed with love and hip-hop, with The Game framed as the reward. But behind the stage drama, messy flirting, and made-for-TV romance, things allegedly took a dark turn, and that situation would come back like a wrecking ball for his whole world. One contestant, Priscilla Rainey, was not just there to play along for cameras. She later became the biggest legal problem tied to his career. While filming in Chicago during a night out.
Let's clear that up now. I'm not screaming. He did not me. But what he did do is touch 3 times and told me shut the up before I eliminate you, and then pulled my up in front of a crowd of people in Chicago at a club with the lights on and people taking pictures. To the point that 3 cameramen walked off set and quit because they got daughters and wives at home, and they said he's a piece of...
Rainey accused The Game of touching her inappropriately in public, saying he repeatedly groped her, lifted her skirt, and embarrassed her in front of people at a sports bar. She did not win the show, but off camera, she completely changed the story. In August 2015, she came straight at The Game with a lawsuit for sexual battery, claiming he assaulted her off camera while filming. This is where everything really spiraled. Instead of stepping into court and fighting back, he straight up ignored the situation. Court papers, subpoenas, all of it got brushed off like it was nothing serious. One process server even said they tried 41 times to deliver the documents and still could not reach him. The judge was not letting that slide. And since he never responded, the court made a decision without him.
If you could ask Nip himself, he would have told you, and he did tell you out his own mouth what, I contributed, to his career. Coming straight out of West Side Cedar Block, Bompton, and Top Dog know what it is, Kendrick know what it is, Mustard know what it is, Ty Dolla $ign know what it is, Dr. Dre know what it is, Snoop know what it is.
Just like that, a default judgment hit, and now he owed Priscilla Rainey a massive $7.13 million. Most people would have at least shown up or tried to settle, but he did nothing until it was way too late. That silence turned into a costly mistake. Even after the ruling, he still did not move like it was serious. He went on Instagram and dropped a heated rant aimed at Rainey, clowning her looks, calling her names, and denying everything.
I want to be with my girl all day, every day.
I can't be with him 24/7. I'm sorry.
Sadida couldn't keep a promise if her life depended on it.
So what?
I can't get no loving in public.
No affection.
No holding hands,
Because it seems
no
like you
kiss,
always
no...
gotta.
He even tried to paint her as a liar, but none of that changed the outcome. The court had already ruled, and Rainey was locked in, pushing hard to collect every dollar she could. She subpoenaed his companies, dug into his assets, and went all the way into his financial world like nothing was off limits. She even got court approval to seize money from L.A. Prolific, his own independent label. Then, The Game tried to flip things and sue Viacom, claiming they were responsible for casting Priscilla Rainey despite her background, but that move crashed fast. He was aiming for $20 million, but the court shut it down and even told him to cover Viacom's legal fees on top of everything else. By 2020, everything started falling apart for real. Rainey was not just looking at bank accounts anymore, she went straight for his music income. A judge gave her full rights to any money coming from L.A. Prolific, including royalties from Born to Rap, the album he was pushing as his big retirement moment. She did not just take a piece, she took everything. Every stream, every payment, every future dollar tied to that label got redirected straight to her. Anybody who owed him money now had to pay her directly. Imagine building your legacy, putting everything into a project, and then watching every dollar go somewhere else. It turned into one of the most brutal financial takedowns the rap game has ever seen, and it was all unfolding in real time. From lawsuits stacking up to entire label assets getting seized, the game was slowly losing grip on everything he built. When courts start digging into your catalog and tracking your money, that is usually the wake-up call. But he kept moving like none of it was real. He told people he was broke, joked online about driving a Kia, and acted like the situation was not even touching him. Meanwhile, Priscilla Rainey kept applying pressure nonstop. She pushed for access to all his assets, claimed money was being hidden under his manager Whack 100, and even subpoenaed his cannabis business, Trees by Game LLC, trying to pull records. She accused him of using shell companies to make it look like he had nothing when that was not the full picture. By 2022, things got even more intense, with reports saying she subpoenaed his child's school to confirm where he was staying, trying to track him down directly. Every time he tried to avoid the situation, she found another move, and it kept working. Step by step in this long battle, she stayed ahead and kept closing in. By the time 2023 hit, the game situation looked less like a legal battle and more like a slow-motion collapse. Priscilla Rainey had already taken control of the income coming from Born to Rap, but that money was nowhere near enough to cover the $7.1 million he owed. His label was losing momentum, and his other moves were not bringing in the kind of money he needed. She even claimed that by then, only about $500,000 had been recovered, not even close to 10% of the total judgment, so she kept pushing harder. Her legal team demanded more financial records, accusing him of shifting assets around like a chess game to avoid paying up. They argued he did not have anything directly in his name anymore. Not the cars, not the businesses, not even the house. Everything was allegedly tied to Whack 100 or placed under different LLCs he controlled. Because of that, the court started viewing it as a possible scheme. That is when things leveled up fast. Rainey turned her attention to his Calabasas mansion, one of the last major assets still connected to him, reportedly valued between $3.2 and $4 million. That house was more than just property. It was a symbol of everything the game still had left from his peak years. But Priscilla Rainey was not easing up at all. She filed to have the mansion seized and sold to help cover what he owed. He pushed back hard, arguing it was his main residence and protected under homestead laws. He claimed he had been living there consistently and that losing it would leave him with nothing. But Rainey's side told a completely different story. They argued the house was just another asset being moved around, possibly transferred to Whack 100 as a gift to keep it out of reach. No money exchanged hands in that transfer, which raised serious concerns in court. According to filings, that kind of move is a major warning sign. The judge was not playing games either. By mid-2025, the court ordered the home to be sold. The Calabasas mansion was officially cleared for seizure, becoming one of the final blows in a legal battle that dragged on for nearly a decade. Think about that for a second. How many rappers have had their label income, publishing, royalties, and even their home all taken through one case? Not many at all, and what makes it even crazier is how it all started. This was not after some long courtroom fight. It all came down to him not showing up. He ignored court dates, avoided legal papers, and acted like it would disappear. Instead, it spiraled into one of the worst financial decisions of his life. At the same time, his music slowed down, and the brand he built started losing momentum. No tours, no major hits, just random headlines about IG rants and public drama with other artists. It started to feel like the game went from a respected West Coast figure to a warning story, playing out like a slow leak on a sinking ship. And the damage did not stop with him. People tied to his career started feeling it too. His label team, collaborators, investors, even people close to him all got caught in the fallout. Wack 100, his longtime manager and a loud voice in hip-hop media, ended up right in the middle of it. Lawyers connected to Priscilla Rainey accused him of helping move assets around, including the Calabasas house. They claimed he was being used as a front to protect the rapper from the judgment. In response, Wack went on media runs, doing interviews with DJ Academics and others.
I lost the best thing that ever happened to me, but now I think I'm ready to find a special someone. And I'm gonna give her 100% of everything that I got.
Game is looking for love.
You're gonna step into my life and take this journey.
And he's bringing 10 lucky ladies along for the ride. She's Got Game. New series premieres Monday, August 10th at 9.
Trying to explain the situation, but the answers were not clear. Nobody could fully say what belonged to who anymore, and that only made things look worse. From a legal angle, the court was not buying the idea that nothing was in his name. When money and assets start getting shifted into companies, trusts, or other names to avoid paying a judgment, that becomes a serious issue. It is known as a fraudulent conveyance, and courts take that very seriously. In other words, Priscilla Rainey had the law fully on her side, and she was not stopping until every dollar was tracked down. Meanwhile, the game kept moving like he still had something to prove. He would pop up with new music and features here and there, but the energy was different. His image was no longer about legacy, it was about controversy and pushing back. Online, he talked big, downplayed the lawsuit, and acted like everything was still solid financially. But the court records were telling a completely different story. Everything connected to him was under a microscope. Even when he linked up with Kanye West in 2022, rumors started flying that the money from that move went straight toward Rainey. That shows how deep her claim really reached. Legally, she had the right to collect every dollar until the full amount was paid. That meant every stream, every payment, every merch sale tied to LA Prolific or anything connected to him after the judgment could be redirected. At that point, how do you even plan a comeback when every move comes with pressure attached? By 2025, the whole situation had turned into a nonstop legal spectacle. After losing his house through court order and watching his music income get redirected, he tried to make one last push. His legal team went back to court trying to block the seizure of the Calabasas mansion, arguing he was never properly served with notice. That is right. He really tried to argue that he did not even know the court was coming for the house, even though this whole situation had been building for nearly a decade. The game pushed that angle hard, but on the other side, Priscilla Rainey's team came with proof. They said they even subpoenaed his child's high school to confirm he was living in that area, making it easier to track him and serve legal papers. That shows how far things had gone. It was no longer just paperwork, it was strategy and pressure from every angle. Rainey and her legal team were moving like investigators, looking for anything connected to him that could legally be taken. You would think with that kind of pressure, he would switch up and face it head on. But instead, he leaned even more into the image of having nothing. In interviews, he said everything, from the cars to the jewelry, was rented or borrowed. He made it seem like he had zero assets, and legally, that may have been partly true, but Rainey was not convinced at all. She pushed to have him held in contempt of court, accusing him of ignoring subpoenas, hiding income, and using companies to protect assets. The claims were serious. She alleged that music money, brand deals, and other income were being moved through businesses tied to Wack 100 or other partners. At that point, it stopped looking like simple missteps and started looking like a full financial escape plan. But the court was not fooled. With the label already affected and Born to Rap profits redirected, the pressure stayed on him from every direction.
It seems like the whole mess, the fight, is Priscilla's fault. And that ain't really sitting well with me. You got some girls who
Want me to go home, of course.
want you to go home.
I can't believe everyone's making such a big deal about me cussing out Sierra. She deserved it.
The judgment was still nowhere near paid, and that $7.1 million debt followed the game like a shadow he could not escape. At this point, things with the legal system were completely burned out. Judges had already described his actions as deeply unacceptable, and any attempts to reopen the case were shut down. There was no more room to play unaware. The only move left was delay, but even that was starting to fall apart fast. His image, once built on realness and West Coast pride, had flipped into something people joked about online. He went from calling out legends like Eminem and Dr. Dre to avoiding subpoenas like they were diss tracks. And people did not forget that bold statement where he claimed Kanye West did more for him in 2 weeks than Dre ever did. That take aged badly. Kanye may have brought headlines and moments, but Dre helped build his foundation. Now that same career was under serious pressure from court-ordered payments and a damaged reputation. Fans who once supported him heavy were now watching everything unfold like a true crime story in real time. Even Born to Rap, the album he promoted as his final and most personal work, turned into his biggest loss. It did not meet expectations, and on top of that, every dollar connected to it was legally redirected to Priscilla Rainey. That means every stream, every sale, every payment tied to that project went straight to her, not him. Imagine putting your heart into a retirement album, running interviews, teasers, and promo everywhere, only for someone else to walk away with the money. That is exactly what happened to the game. And it was not just about royalties either. Priscilla Rainey also had rights tied to his label, LA Prolific. That means future projects, new artists, even merch tied to that label could be claimed until the debt was fully paid off. Since he had not made a major industry impact in years, it became clear the money was not coming in fast enough to keep up with what he owed. That left everything stuck. No real momentum, no forward movement, just legal pressure stacking up and social media moments trying to shift attention away from the situation. It started to look like everything was on pause while the problems kept building. Now on the street side, things get even colder. In hip-hop, once financial trouble starts showing, people either distance themselves or start applying pressure. The respect he once had in Los Angeles circles began fading. He was not even part of major West Coast moments like that big pop-out concert everyone was talking about. That kind of absence says a lot. This was someone once seen as a major voice for the West Coast comeback.
What about you, Firestarter? You good?
I'm good. No fire started today. So it sounds to me like they're trying to trash me in front of Jayceon to make me look like a fire starter. You know what? Let's go.
And now the new wave was moving without him, like he was not even in the picture anymore. Fans online kept guessing what really pushed things off track. Was it the lawsuit drama, the Kanye West connection, or just past behavior catching up? But one thing became obvious fast. The game was no longer a priority in the culture. His credibility kept taking hits from the ongoing court issues and the way he handled things publicly. Over time, he became known more for controversy than music. And in this industry, image is everything. Once people start seeing you as desperate, struggling, and avoiding responsibility, it is tough to bounce back. Most artists facing that kind of pressure would fall back, regroup, or move smarter. But he kept chasing attention, just not in a way that helped his situation. Instead of focusing on consistent drops or building a fresh lane, he leaned into shock moments. Long interviews, drawn-out Instagram captions, and public links with big names were all part of the play. It looked like a distraction from the real situation. Behind the scenes, he was dealing with one of the most chaotic financial situations the rap scene has seen in years. When Priscilla Rainey took control over parts of his label situation, most artists would have pivoted fast, maybe start a new brand or move quietly through deals. But he did not make those moves, and that made everything hit even harder. He kept talking like he was still rich, but the court records were telling a completely different story. The game tried to maintain that image, but fans were not blind. Streams slowed down, merch started drying up, and the only time his name really trended was when a new legal update dropped or someone exposed how deep the situation had gotten. He went from a rap heavyweight to a legal headline, and it was all unfolding in public. The industry was watching closely too. Labels and executives started moving more carefully around him. Why take the risk of working with someone whose earnings could be redirected mid-release? Even collaborations became complicated. If Priscilla Rainey had legal control over income streams, then even a feature payment could end up going to her. That kind of situation spreads fast, and nobody wants to get tied into that kind of pressure. At that point, it was bigger than just one artist's problems. It became something others wanted to avoid completely.
I really like Priscilla, but some just don't feel.
He was now seen as someone surrounded by legal trouble, where even dropping a track could come with financial consequences. Fans started asking real questions. How do you go from multi-platinum success and major tours to dealing with situations like rented cars and avoiding legal papers? How does someone with that much history in the game, no pun intended, let everything fall apart so publicly? The game did not crash overnight. It was a chain reaction. One move led to another. Ignoring the lawsuit, mocking the accuser online, avoiding court orders, shifting assets around, it all stacked up fast. This was not some quiet situation either. It played out loud for everyone to see, and every step made things worse. Priscilla Rainey stayed consistent and strategic. She did interviews, spoke on major platforms, and brought attention to everything behind the scenes. She explained how the show was allegedly staged, said she was already in a relationship at the time, and claimed producers pushed drama for views. That added weight to her side and made the whole situation look even more messy for him. At that point, it stopped being about who people believed and became about who was actually winning. And step by step, she kept getting results. While he was posting online and showing off a lifestyle, she was moving through the legal system and locking in victories. Every court decision added up, and the gap between them kept growing wider. She kept seizing assets and tracking every move he made, like this was a rapper going up against a chess master who already knew every step ahead. The game looked like he never even studied the board. And it did not stop with him either. Wack 100 kept getting pulled into the situation again and again. Court filings even accused him of helping move money and protect assets. Whether that was true or not, it added even more layers to the chaos. Wack tried to speak on it publicly, jumping on platforms like Clubhouse or linking with DJ academics to explain what was going on. But every time he talked, it just brought more attention to the situation. One day, he was defending decisions. The next, he was being accused of being tied to hidden assets like the mansion. Whether he was directly involved or just caught in the middle, his name stayed connected to the whole situation. Meanwhile, Priscilla Rainey stayed focused. She was not worried about opinions or headlines. She was focused on that $7.1 million. She kept filing, subpoenaing, and collecting step by step. At that point, it was no longer about emotions. It was about making a point and following through all the way. You play around in court, you pay. Simple as that. And here is the wild part. The game still moved like he had time left. Even after the court ordered the house to be sold, even after his label situation changed, even after Priscilla Rainey had already collected around $500,000, he kept trying to fight it. Filing motions, denying service, asking for exemptions. But by then, the court had no patience left. Judges were not buying any of it. From their view, he had years to respond, and suddenly acting like he did not know what was going on did not hold up. It only made things look worse. At the same time, his music had no real movement, no buzz, no strong releases, no momentum. Fans had shifted focus, the streets were quiet, and even blogs only mentioned his name when another legal update surfaced. He went from being a major West Coast voice to a cautionary story about pride and delay. The situation became bigger than music. It turned into a lesson people kept pointing at. And through all of it, Rainey stayed consistent. Every delay, every ignored order, she turned into another step forward. By May 2025, everything hit its peak. The court officially ordered the Calabasas mansion to be sold to help cover that $7.13 million judgment. It was no longer talk, it was happening. That final asset was being taken, and even that was not enough to fully clear what was owed. The reality hit hard. This was not just a setback, it was a full collapse playing out in public, step by step, with no easy way out. The house was expected to bring in around $3.2 million, which still left nearly $4 million owed to Priscilla Rainey after the sale. And with the game's label situation already affected, royalties redirected, and many assets allegedly tied to other names, there was no clear way to cover the rest. It started to look like quicksand, every move only pulling him deeper. No matter how many motions he filed, interviews he gave, or claims he made about having nothing, the system had already locked in. Every dollar connected to him was being tracked. Every attempt at a comeback came with legal pressure attached. His career was still there, but it was restricted at every turn. And even after the house situation, things were far from over. Rainey's legal team kept pushing, accusing him of continuing to move money through companies and connections, including links to WAC 100 and others. They stayed focused on recovering everything they legally could. Reports even suggested they reached out to publishing companies, banks, and business partners to check for any remaining income streams. This was not about taking random losses, it was about enforcing a judgment that had been ignored for years, and that is what makes the whole situation hit harder. This outcome did not come from a long courtroom battle where he lost after fighting. It came from not respecting the process early on. That decision set everything in motion, and there was no easy way to reverse it. He mocked it, avoided it, and treated it like it could never reach him, but it did. And when it finally caught up, it hit hard. The game ended up losing control over major parts of his career, from his label situation to his album income, even his home, and possibly his future as an independent artist. And let's be clear, this is not about deciding if he was right or wrong. That is for public opinion. What stands out here is the lesson behind it all. When you face a case that serious, you have to show up and respond. You cannot ignore it, joke about it online, or think it will disappear. Calling out the situation on social media does not change what happens in court. And trying to move money around or avoid responsibility only makes things worse. That kind of approach brings more pressure and stronger consequences. What could have been managed early turns into something much bigger. This was not just about losing one case, it became about losing control completely. The kind of control you need to survive in an industry that moves fast and does not wait. Projects like his documentary Moments and Born to Rap could have added to his legacy, but instead, the focus shifted to legal battles and setbacks. That is where the real impact is felt. Now in 2025, his name is not trending because of music, tours, or big moves. It is trending because of everything that unfolded around him, and people are watching closely to see what happens next. That is the reality of how far things shifted. Will he bounce back? Can he rebuild? Or is this the chapter that defines how the game is remembered in hip-hop? The talent is still there, no doubt, but without ownership, without solid assets, and without full financial freedom, he is boxed in. This turned into one of the most dramatic downfalls the rap scene has seen. From top-tier conversations to court documents, from sold-out shows to seized property, the shift is hard to ignore. And the craziest part, it did not have to go this way. One court appearance, one proper response, one smarter move could have changed everything. But the way it played out led to this moment, where all that is left is dealing with the fallout. Whether he finds a way back or not, that is something only time will reveal. If you made it this far, respect to you for real. This whole situation was intense, messy, and packed with lessons. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should he have handled it differently? Was Priscilla Rainey right for going after everything? Do you think a comeback is still possible after all this? Make sure you subscribe to Dripzine, hit that like button, drop a comment, and share this video to support the channel. If you want to help a small creator grow, tap that hype button too. More breakdowns, more stories, and more real talk coming soon.